Hi, Andrew. David Barber here. This is my Prolon Fasting Mimicking Diet Experience Report per our agreement. I did the Prolon diet last week, November 4 through 8. And then I extended the diet 3 more days, as I will explain, for a total of 8 days. It's now November 15th as I make this video, so I have been refeeding now for 4 days. So here is my weight graph. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a sore throat. So here's a graph of my weight before, during, and after the diet. I normally water fast every Sunday with a small calorie surplus on the other 6 days. So in the left part of the graph, you can see 2 or 3 weekly cycles of gaining during the week and then losing some on Sunday. Normally, I do a 4-day water fast once a month. This means that overall, I average 1 day in 4 of fasting. So the surplus calorie days are meant to offset this, so I end up with a net 0. Unfortunately, I just started recording my weight, so I can't compare the effects of a 4-day water fast with the Prolon diet visually, graphically, but I can say from experience that I lost significantly more weight on the water fast than on the Prolon diet. At the end of the last 4-day water fast, I was down to 148. The right side of the graph from November 4 through 11 is the Prolon diet with my 3-day extension. So after 8 days, I reached a minimum of 150.6. So I journaled extensively during the Prolon diet. Many pages of recording numerous times a day my subjective hunger, my energy level, mood, mental focus, and also satiety following a meal, all of these on a scale of 1 to 10. I followed the Prolon protocol exactly, except that I took a couple of supplements due to a couple of fairly common genetic mutations that I happen to have. So I have a mutation of the MTHFR gene, which, as you can see in the orange box at the right, is present in about 8.8% of the population. So it's pretty common, actually. This limits my ability to metabolize homocysteine to about 10% of normal. The Prolon supplements contain folic acid and the cyanocobalamin form of vitamin B12, which I cannot metabolize, so I take methylfolate and methylcobalamin, and this circumvents the problem. So, but I also have a polymorphism at location RS6742078 in the UGT1A1 gene, which results in a condition known as Gilbert's syndrome. This condition is also quite common, affecting 8% of Northern Europeans. It's a defect in the phase 2 liver detoxification system known as glucuronidation. This results in my serum bilirubin being normally about 16% higher than the normal range, but it can actually go much higher than that under stress to the point of jaundice. So the Wikipedia article on Gilbert's syndrome mentions fasting as one of the stressors that can cause jaundice. And so here are a couple of examples of sites that specifically mention fasting being a bad idea for people with Gilbert's syndrome. Again, this is a condition that affects about 8% of the population. So luckily there's some, it turns out that there's some easy interventions that I was able to dig up that I experimented with while fasting and found that they were protective. I don't think these are very well known, and they're not mentioned in the context of fasting. So I'm actually eager to share this knowledge with other people because I think it's potentially valuable. So it turns out that certain herbs can be either powerful inducers or inhibitors of liver enzymes. Sometimes, here are the ones that are beneficial to the pathway that's compromised in Gilbert's patients, the glucuronidation. So during the Prolon diet, I drank lots of dandelion and peppermint tea, and I had no liver symptoms, no jaundice at all. So in general, I found the Prolon diet very easy compared to water fasting. I experienced very little hunger even on the first day. My energy and mood were consistently above average. I regard Prolon as sort of as precision fasting. So through all their research, it's possibly a refinement and possibly an improvement over traditional forms of this, what's been long known as a healing technology, fasting. But our understanding of why fasting is healing has been very not very thoroughly understood, and this research is beginning to answer some of those questions. So, and there are, I think, numerous examples in the history of medicine where knowledge has enabled improvements over existing therapies. And when the technology of drilling and filling teeth came along, it was no longer necessary to pull the whole tooth out where there was decay. And breast cancer was routinely managed with radical mastectomy until doctors discovered that outcomes were just as good or better with simple lumpectomy, and patients were spared all that trauma. So the fasting mimicking diet was first devised in order to improve compliance and to make the benefits of fasting available to patients who were perhaps too sick and weak to contemplate water fasting. And the Prolon diet is as painless and as close to a normal diet as possible while still being effective. This is a fasting technology that the mainstream medical community can embrace. It's clinically tested and shown to have very few adverse effects. It's definitely a very safe way to go. It's easy from the nutritional facts labeling on the Prolon product to work out the macronutrient percentages of the Prolon diet. They turn out to be 45.6% carbohydrates, 46.5% fat, and 7.8% fat. When you exclude the first day, which is sort of an easy day, a transition day, the percentages are a little different, and those are shown on the bottom row there. We can also work out how the calories are distributed among the meals. So knowing all this, we can use a tool like chronometer to cook up a menu that comes very close to the Prolon total calories and macronutrient percentages. I know that Walter Longo doesn't think very highly of people who cook up their own schemes, but nevertheless, I decided to extend my FMD diet an extra 3 days with my own menu, just as an experiment, just for comparison. So Dr. Longo's research showed a spike in circulating stem cells at 4 to 5 days. And this is one of the reasons why the Prolon fast is 5 days long. The other reason comes back to compliance. He didn't want the length to be too daunting, and he didn't want the increased risk of adverse reactions. But his research also found additional potential benefits at longer durations, such as improvement in autoimmune conditions. And I understand that L-Nutra is considering a 7-day Prolon product. So anyway, that's why I decided to go for the 8 days. I've never water fasted longer than 4 days, but I found it very easy to do 8 days of FMD. On water fasting, I'm usually just ravenous by the end of the fast. The last night I don't sleep very well. I'm just really obsessed with food. But with the FMD, I continued to feel very little hunger and lots of energy and good mental focus all the way to the end, and slept more than 8 hours every night. Found it very easy to sleep. So my FMD version, my 3-day FMD menu was definitely a Volkswagen compared to Prolon's Cadillac. And mine, of course, hasn't been clinically tested. So if anybody else is listening, I don't suggest using my menu as an alternate to the Prolon FMD. I definitely enjoyed Prolon's meals more than my own aesthetically. They're really pretty tasty. I really liked, especially, I think the L drink is a real innovation, and I just think that glycerin drink is a really smart way to go. So finally, let me add that just as a footnote, that there may be benefits. My thinking is that there may be benefits to water fasting that the FMD does not capture. Science has a tendency to be a little arrogant and dismissive of folk wisdom, and there are a lot of very experienced non-medical fasters out there who really know a lot about fasting, have a lot of experience, and I don't feel comfortable just dismissing them completely, although I really value the science too. So science can be sometimes excessively reductionistic. And when scientists, so for example, when scientists isolated the nutrient beta-carotene, they believed that they could just give someone a beta-carotene supplement and it would do the same thing as eating beta-carotene containing foods, but this, of course, was not the case. and so it's still better to eat your vegetables. The same might turn out to be true for water fasting. So uh, so, for example, there's something to be said for the rigor and the discipline of water fasting. Some of the mental effects of a total fast may be missing in the FMD, which just focuses on certain strictly physiological measures. So water fasting is certainly a faster way of taking off weight as well. Whether that's a good thing or not, I really don't know. Um, so thanks, Andrew, for hooking me up with Prolon. It was a really valuable experience, and I really learned a lot. And thank you. I'll continue to uh, keep in touch. Thanks.